Hey, Josh.
Hey, Emily. How's it going?
How you doing?
Good.
Doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
So,
why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm Josh Bufink, and I'm the Public Relations Manager at the City of Fort Smith. And I've been doing this job for a little over a year and a half now. So really loving it and excited to tell a little bit about how I ended up doing that and how we ended up here talking on a podcast together.
How did we end up doing
Yeah.
So I'm Emily Horn, and I'm the Director of Marketing for the Fort Smith Convention and Visitors Bureau, aka Discover Fort Smith. And I've been in this job since the end of May 2024.
Nice.
And absolutely love it. Did not know what a Convention and Visitors Bureau was before
Yeah.
I started working
So
here.
how do you go from not knowing what that is to now you're the director of communications and marketing?
Well, let me tell you about that. No. I was working from home for about a year and a half. My husband and I moved here in December of 2022.
Okay.
The same week we got married, we moved here.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
What a
kind of
whirlwind.
Wild. Yes, it was a wild ride. And we moved here from Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And I kept my job with a nonprofit outside of Austin who worked with teachers providing professional development, conferences, things like that. And I did marketing and copywriting for them. And when we moved, I found remote work to be incredibly freeing. Like,
Yeah.
I loved that aspect of it. But on the flip side of it, it was super hard.
Yeah. Was it isolating or?
Maybe if I was established here when I
Yeah.
moved, if I had known people, I think it would have been better. But, we don't have any kids, so
Yeah.
we weren't meeting people through school or anything like that. And I was being very purposeful about getting out and doing things. And that definitely helped a ton. But I think I'm just the type of person where I need to go somewhere every day.
Yeah.
I need to go somewhere and do the thing with people.
Yeah, which you're an extrovert, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine. We haven't talked about this, but I imagine.
No, Josh, I'm an introvert.
And if anybody knows the Enneagram, you're an Enneagram 7, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that once. And I was just guessing. I'm glad I got that right. So I can imagine you would need to go out and explore and check out different things and be around people, rather than be at home.
Well, and I loved, who I worked for. I loved the mission and everything. And there were parts of working from home that I was like, yes, this is awesome. Like, I had my Zoom mullet, professional on top, PJs on bottom.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
That would be a big bonus for me.
it was pretty good. But honestly, I came across the job online and I wasn't even really considering leaving my former job at the time. But I saw the post, I saw the job description and what it was all about. And I just thought, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And it was the catalyst that got me to make that change, and actually didn't realize how working remotely had affected me
Yeah.
until I started working at the CVB for Discover Fort Smith. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I get to be out and about. I get to meet people. I get to learn about the city, the region that we're in. And yeah, it just really changed. It changed things for me in a really positive way. Not that it was negative before, but yeah, I think I'm just one of those people. I just need to, type 7 Enneagram.
Good. So you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
And part of what you're doing now, you get to do is do things like this podcast and share all about the great things that are happening across Fort Smith and ways people may not know or things that Fort Smith has to offer that people may not know about.
Way to bring that back around, Josh.
Yeah.
Good
Hey,
job.
I try.
Yes, that's exactly why we started the podcast. Because I don't know, I started thinking about what can we do to highlight the residents in the city. I mean, my job is really to market the city as a place to come and visit and to host meetings and conventions and conferences, but also for families to come and friends. And but I went to this conference like 2 weeks after I was hired. I mean, Ashley had me just dive right in, which was pretty cool. Up in Columbus, Ohio, called ESTO. And there was the director from the Detroit CVB. And he was talking with us about, some of the cool things Detroit is doing to boost tourism. And I went up to him afterwards and I was like, talk to me a little bit about resident love for the city, because Detroit's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Right? They've been through a lot. And there's a lot of haters out there, unfortunately. And he just looked at me and he was like, you have to honor the residents. You have to honor the residents. And we kind of talked a little bit more about that. And I left there feeling like, man, he is so right. Because the residents are who built the city.
Yeah.
They're why we're here doing our jobs today.
Right.
And where do people want to visit? They want to visit places where the people who live there love their city.
Yeah. So
I
what
said
do you?
that in a really weird way.
No, that was. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
What do you think sets Fort Smith apart in that regard? What are you hoping to highlight about our residents? That could attract other people.
I think I want to shine a light on the work people are doing here.
Yeah.
Because Fort Smith has its challenges, just like every other city in the entire world.
Yeah.
People are people, no matter where you go.
Yep.
But there are people in the city who are giving every single day in lots of different ways, whether it's owning a business, whether it's starting an initiative, whether it's beautification, whether it's, working for a nonprofit that's giving back to the city. I mean, there's lots of things happening here and lots of people making those things happen.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it would be great to spotlight those individuals and what they're doing, and also show people who might be interested in visiting Fort Smith and maybe even living in Fort Smith or an area near Fort Smith, what it's been like for other people to live here, what they enjoy doing, what they love about their city, and how they ended up here if they're not from here. And also what it's like to own a business and to work here and live here, every day. So kind of the idea.
I was speaking with a colleague a couple weeks ago, maybe now, about, I feel like there are all these great things going on. Yeah, you can take a drink. It's fine. I feel like there are all these great things going on in the city, but we haven't always done, and by we, I mean me included, haven't always done a great job of highlighting those things, of highlighting the people behind those things, and really showcasing the great things that are happening in our community in ways that the city's have been behind things, and the way that nonprofits have been behind things that, just haven't been made known, to the public at large. So great point.
I mean, we've talked before about how one of the first things you hear from people is there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, I thought would be cool to highlight, is just all that there actually is to do.
Right.
And I think I met you on day one of the job. You took my badge picture.
Oh, yeah. I tend to meet everyone day one of the job.
I know, you do. You meet literally everyone. And then I think, due to the nature of what we both do, we just run into each other quite often here and there. And I thought, I wonder if Josh from the city would be interested in collaborating on this.
Yeah.
To just show our partnership.
Yeah.
Between the city, the actual city government and the Convention and Visitor Bureau, and just, how residential stuff and tourism stuff can work together and support each other.
Yeah, definitely.
And you were like, yeah, okay. Which, thank you.
Still am.
Thank
Still
you for
on
that.
board. I'm here today. So,
But enough about me. Like,
Yeah.
what about you? How did you get into this?
So I thought, I thought it was kind of a crazy whirlwind of me and my wife getting married and moving here 3 months later, but you have me beat. I mean, that was intense. So my wife and I, we first moved to Fort Smith in the fall of 2011. We got married in May of 2011. 3 months later, ended up moving to the River Valley area just outside of Fort Smith. And I started working at a church in a small rural community. And, immediately when we got here, I think the thing that attracted me to Fort Smith was the warm welcome that we received from people. I was in who would eventually become my boss at the time. I went to his house and I instantly felt like I was family, like not just a guest in somebody's house, but that I was wanted here and that people would welcome me with open arms. And that stuck with us. And we were like, this is where we want to live and be. So we ended up doing that. I was here for 5 years up until 2016. During that time, we had 2 kids. And we had our second kid and we're in the process of moving to Tulsa. And so we moved to Tulsa and had a great experience there, started working at another church. And then we moved to Fort Worth. We were in Northwest Arkansas for a little bit. But I always felt this draw back to Fort Smith, Arkansas. I always felt like, of all the places, I grew up in Tulsa, but of all the places that I've lived, this has felt the most like home to me, mostly because of the relationships that we formed here. I mean, you can imagine, my wife and I were just married. We had a chance to start a new community with other people who were in that same stage of life as us. And then they started having kids at the same time we started having kids. So even though we moved away, whenever we did vacations, we would get back together or people would come visit us and we would come back and visit. And it got to the point where my wife was like, this is where our people are and we want to be where our people are.
Yeah.
She had an opportunity to pursue working at a counseling office here in town. And I had asked, I actually randomly, I got a call from my former boss here in the River Valley. And he said, hey, do you want to come back to work for us? And I felt like, well, this is confirmation that this is exactly what we need to do. Because Kelsey and I, my wife and I, had been talking about this, moving back. So 2021, we packed up. We had our third at this point and our third son. So we have 3 boys. It's crazy in my house. We packed up and moved back to Fort Smith area. And during that time, experienced some of the most difficult things I had ever gone through. Up until that point, we had experienced some difficult things where, we had a family member pass away or whatnot, or our second son was in NICU for a while. We had experienced those things, but it was just an extraordinarily difficult year. And it meant the world to us that we came back here during that time. And I really think, I know not everybody's probably religious listening to this, but I really think God had us here at that time because he knew we needed to be around the people that we were around, people that supported us as we ventured off into foster care for the first time.
Yeah.
People that supported us as we experienced some very unexpected deaths in our family, some close friends who had passed away, and we needed that support from our community. And that's why I love it here, because people are willing to support. They're willing to stop everything they're doing and help me out. And they have nothing to gain for themselves. It's just because they want to be there for somebody else. And that's what Fort Smith means to me. Yeah. And that's why I want more people to know about it.
I totally feel that. that family vibe that you get here. You know, Daniel and I, he still works from home. He's an introvert.
I am too,
loves
actually.
it. He loves it. He's like, yes. And so he works from home, and we did not know about Fort Smith at all. Like I'd never even heard of Fort Smith. And living in Austin, you know, we knew we were going to get married. We knew we wanted to find a house. And we tried in Austin for a long time. Like
It's a little more
look for
expensive.
a house, a little, yeah, just a tad. And I think we put in like 12 offers on different houses, and we quickly realized this dream was not going to become a reality.
Yeah. And this was 2022, right?
This was 2022.
Yeah. Which at that time, I mean, you had to like outbid people an outrageous amount over asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like cash offers, waiving appraisals, which you can't do here, waiving inspections. Like people didn't care. They're just like, I want this house.
Yeah.
Here's some cash.
I can imagine that was difficult. Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't happening for us. So we started to think, okay, well, if this is important to us, if we want to start a family, if we want to, you know, buy a home, where do we want to do that? And my family, I grew up in Memphis, and I lived in Memphis for a very long time.
Nice.
And spent the last 10 years from 2013 to 2022 in Austin. And his family is in the Fort Worth area. And so we literally took a map and we were like, well, Arkansas.
That's in the middle.
Yeah, it's right in the middle. So we started to kind of look at what was happening in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And, you know, the cost of living here, and what kind of jobs can we have? And we got in touch with a realtor, and she just, you know, we started looking up in Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Fayetteville, and we were like, well, this is kind of like on par with Austin a little in spots. And so she suggested that we start looking around Fort Smith. And we hadn't yet come to Arkansas. And I remember my husband's grandmother passed away. And so I had to come by myself on a trip. And it was fall, it was October, and the foliage was just beautiful. And we looked at several different places in Alma and Chester, and I came to Fort Smith, and everybody was just so friendly.
Yeah.
And so welcoming, and like, hey, neighbor, you know, like you just feel like you're home, you know? And so looked at a couple houses. They didn't work out. Then came back up with my husband in November. He actually proposed here in Arkansas.
Nice.
Yeah. And that day we went and looked at our current home, and we were like, this is it. We want to be here. We want our kids to be safe, you know, and we want to have like a little yard they can run around in, get dirty in, and explore a little bit. And we were able to get that here.
Yeah.
And that was super powerful to us because we'd gone through so many discouraging moments with trying to find that. Don't get me wrong, Austin's a cool place. I loved it. Still do. But I really love living here.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying it because we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
I really love living here, and I feel the encouragement of this community too. So we did get married in 2022. His grandmother passed away. Mine were ill at the time. So we got engaged in November. We got married in December and packed up everything the week of the wedding.
Wow.
Drove the truck up here, drove to Nashville, got married,
Wow.
came back, unpacked, and then made one more trip from Austin. And we immediately felt that sense of belonging here. And, you know, we've only been married a couple of years, so we got married a little older. And for us, having kids was one of those things we were like, it may happen, may not happen, you know? So I actually had a miscarriage last year and felt the love and the warmth of the community around that. You know, it's something that I debated on whether or not I wanted to bring it up and discuss it, because it's something that we don't really discuss very openly, you know? And it was really meaningful to me to have somebody come by and drop off food for us and to just say they were sorry and hug me, you know? And we had been here less than a year.
Yeah.
And that was really powerful to me personally, because it's a moment I think a lot of women feel very alone in. But I felt less alone because of the community. And so, yeah, that was a hard thing that was made a little lighter, like a heavy thing made a little lighter.
Well, thank you. That's hard to share. Well, and thank you for trusting me enough to, you know, tell me, you know, because we've experienced something similar, and I don't know if I could get through that without crying. So
that's okay, Josh.
So, thank you for sharing that. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to say that takes a lot of bravery to say something about it. And there are a lot of women who are struggling with the same thing. So
women out there, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Like, other people go through this, and if you're going through it and need an ear, send me an email.
Yeah.
Emily@fortsmith.com or .org. So then after that, you know, we thought, okay, this is probably not going to happen for us, and that's okay. We're not entitled to the children just because we want them, you know. So we decided to start the adoption and fostering process through the state, and have met people through that process and found just an amazing support through that as well. And it's been really cool to kind of get to know our community through that as well. So,
I mean, as much as I hate going through tragic moments. I don't think anybody likes going through moments like that.
No.
But they really do allow for us to be loved by people in ways that we normally wouldn't. Let our guard down and allow people to come in and be vulnerable for a moment. And through that, connections are formed.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm hoping that through tragedy, more people are connected in that same way. Because that's the same thing that we've experienced in my family is, yes, this was tragic, and I would never go through it or wish this upon anybody else.
Yeah.
But I am thankful for the relationships that came out of this, and I'm thankful for the friendships that I have now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But that brings me to a question for you, John.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you always, so you're the Director of Public Relations for the city. Have you always done PR, marketing? Like, what's your background?
No, I've worked at a church or at churches for the last 13 years or so. Up until recently, I was part-time at a church nearby. So that's my background. Through that, and anybody who's worked in a church can tell you, you learn a lot of different things because it's typically a very small staff.
Like just you.
Doing multiple things.
Yeah.
So I learned videography, photography, marketing, and stuff like that, just listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. I went to Oklahoma State University and got a degree in English, so I knew how to write pretty well, and so carried that with me into this role. And honestly, I don't even know if everybody knows this, but whenever I first applied for the role, I thought that the largest portion of it was going to be social media management, and realized quickly that was not the case whenever I sat down in my interview, and the city administrators there and several other key leaders in the community are sitting around this table asking me questions. I'm like, I felt like I was in over my head. And there are still some days I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, major imposter syndrome at times.
I feel you.
But I know that my experiences as a pastor, talking with people, communicating from stage to hundreds of people, or just one-on-one with people, and the experience I got doing marketing for them and video work and all that has shown up every day in this job and what I'm doing now in my role now. And never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing. Never thought I would even, after the interview, I thought it was over. There's no way. I'm not getting it. But I'm here, and I'm glad I'm here because I love Fort Smith. And I think there's so much going on that people don't realize is happening. And I want people to know that this work's being done on these streets, that these buildings are going in. And, I want people to know and get excited about the community that they live in, because there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here too.
Yeah.
You're so well spoken.
Oh gosh.
No, I watch you speak and I'm like, wow, I just sound like a bumbling dumb face. And Josh is amazing. Teach me your ways.
Well, no,
you're just naturally
thank
a
you.
good speaker.
I've never gotten that compliment before, and I appreciate it.
Today's the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, what do you love to do? And we're gonna full 180 this thing, and we're gonna just talk about happy things now.
Okay.
So, what do you love to do in Fort Smith? Like favorite spots to go hang out, maybe eat? What do you love to do?
Okay, so one of the first things we did when we moved here was we went over to the National Historic Site down here, and we went to the Bakery District with Fort Smith Coffee Co., which we're drinking right now, by the way. We're in the U.S. Marshals Museum. They just opened this location.
The Bakery District wasn't here the first time I lived here. And I came back to it being in the area. Like I came
Game
back
changer.
to an awesome spot for businesses, and for, there's a co-working space in there. There's a ton of cool stuff. So this is a big boon to our economy, but also the culture in the area as well.
Sure.
So sorry.
For sure. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we planned this very, ambitious, I guess is the word, day. We were going to go to the historic site, and we were going to go to the Museum of History, and we were going to go eat brunch over at Fifth Street Cafe in between. And no, we did not do this. I think we're going to go to the art museum too. We planned to do 3 things.
Oh my gosh.
In one day and eat. And that was crazy.
Yeah.
We spent almost 4 hours in the National Historic Site because we, not being from here and not being familiar with Fort Smith before we moved here, we didn't know the history of this area. We did not know why Fort Smith was built. We did not know about, its purpose in gatekeeping, I guess, the U.S. territory. We had no idea. We spent seriously almost 4 hours. We read, I think, everything in there. It was just so interesting. And then we went and ate at Fifth Street Cafe because we were super hungry after that.
Yeah.
And so we kind of laughed when we were eating. We're like, yeah, okay, this day was not happening the way we planned.
Yeah.
So really enjoyed that and learning the history. And then I also have a great appreciation for RAM, the Regional Art Museum, and what they do. It's a small museum that packs a punch, and they are free, which is amazing. And they offer a lot of cool events. They do their painting classes. They offer free stuff on Saturdays for kids.
Yep, Ram Family Saturdays.
And they're cool stuff that kids want to do, like make little backpack charms and, things like that. I love it. And the staff there is just so friendly and kind. And so Ram's definitely there. But I mentioned the Bakery District. It has grown even since we've moved, just in the 2 years that we've been here. There's the Fort Smith Coffee Co. they've added Maddox Bar and Tap, which that place is
It's awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
I went over there for happy hour and I was like, dang, this place is swanky and the drinks were good.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed getting to know Maddox over there. And then they've got the food trucks. I cannot remember the name, Josh. Perhaps you will. But there is a Mexican food truck
I will say it wrong.
Do you know how to spell it?
Starts with an N-A-Y.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite.
Yes, it's so good.
Favorite. I love it so much. I think it's their California burrito to die for.
Have you had that sandwich shop that's there too?
Oh, Lily's.
Yeah.
Lily's sandwich. Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? Love it.
Yeah.
And then we've enjoyed coming to the Marshall's Museum.
Yeah.
The Clayton House was so cool. Just getting a tour of the Clayton House. And I had no idea that there was a furniture industry that was booming here at one point. I mean, the history is so deep.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been incredible. So that, and then you go down the antique trendy vintage path.
Yeah. Like Bell Star.
I love antiquing and all that. And so I think I actually went to Wasted before we even went to the historic anything. I think that was the first thing I did actually, was go to Wasted. And then Bell Star, and then like Now and Then.
Yeah. Right off Rogers,
Yeah, there's just so many cool. And then there's like these really great consignment shops, trinkets. Oh my gosh, now I'm blanking out on all of them.
Yeah.
But there's some really great places to shop around here too.
Yeah.
And then for food, Rolando's, you can't go wrong.
Yes.
AJ's
Love
Oyster
Rolando's.
House.
Yes.
There's this place off 71 called Anthony's.
Oh, yeah. Anthony's Italian. Yeah.
That place is,
Oh, yeah.
that's
that
my
place is
husband's
great.
favorite.
Yeah.
That place is great. Yeah. But what about you? I mean, tell me.
So I'm not into antiquing.
What? You're not?
But my wife does love Bell Star, and so she's there quite a bit checking out things. I like the park system here.
Oh, yes.
I love John Bell Jr. Park, which is right down the road from here. Marshall's Museum. Creekmore Park is exceptional. I mean, we could spend half a day just in Creekmore going to different things and doing different things there. There's a train at Creekmore Park. I've never been on that. I'm a little embarrassed.
Multiple times.
Yeah. just Emily. Just Emily on the train.
It's just me. Hey, guys.
I'm a little embarrassed to say that it took me until I would say 2 years ago to go to like the historic site.
Oh, really?
And go check out the National History or the Fort Smith Museum of History in RAM. I hadn't checked out any of those things until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, what have I been missing out on? What have I been doing?
What is my life?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much cool stuff to do that I just never thought to explore. And so I've been taking my kids to all those places and they love it. But so the parks, we love barbecue. So Neumeyer's Rib Room or Blue Ember Smokehouse.
I've not been there yet.
Oh, it's
good.
Really good. You know, and then whenever we first lived here, there was hardly any coffee scene. There was a small place that used to be in town. I worked there kind of part-time. But there was no Fort Smith Coffee Company or anything like that.
Yeah.
And now there's kind of a blooming coffee scene in the area. So I'm seeing
brewery, like
and
beer
breweries.
scene.
There was none of that too. So it's cool to see just over the last 3 or 4 years. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the future. But going to Fort Smith Coffee Company, spending some time there. There's a space right outside the one at the Bakery District where kids can play.
Yes.
It's the Fort Kids Children's Museum put up a little pop-up area there.
Yes,
it's
cool.
Great spot just to, maybe you want to meet somebody and have your kids play while you're talking with somebody. Love that area. And then, of course, the U.S. Marshals Museum, where we're in right now. My kids love this place.
It's cool.
They do a lot of events here, too, programming that's incredible, camps and different day activities for families, for people to check out. So I would highly encourage that. You know, we have been doing this. We've started doing this podcast, but we have some really cool guests lined up.
Yeah,
coming up over the next several weeks and months. Who have we had on so far that you're excited? Who are you most excited about? I don't want to rank them, but if we were to rank them, no, I'm just kidding.
Everybody's been so great, and they're all so different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked with the Mayor McGill, the Mayor McGill. We've talked with my boss, Ashley Backer, the executive director at the CVB, Discover Fort Smith. Madison Marsh.
What? Oh. You would have thought we played that.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Although we do like to say things together, if you've seen the promo. No, Madison Marsh, she was great. We talked to the school principal, Don Childress.
Yeah. Trent Goins at the Majestic.
Yeah. And then upcoming, we're going to have Katie Gould from Fort Smith Coffee.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be great.
Yeah. We're going to have Sarah from the Fort Kids.
Nice.
The Children's Museum that's in planning phase right now.
Yeah.
She'll be on, and we're going to have Representative Jay Thompson on.
That'll be great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a whole list.
Nice.
It's going to be,
That's exciting.
Great.
I think a lot of people just need to know that you're the brains behind all of this.
No, Josh.
And I just get to reap some of the benefits of it and get to sit here and talk for a little while. So
come on, Josh. That's not true. That's not true.
I'm excited for the future of the podcast and excited for whatever Joe's got going on behind me right now.
Yeah. But no, so you're talking about, guests that we're having on, but we also should talk about how we are filming. And what we're doing is we're kind of going to different places. So we've been to the bakery district. You mentioned before the co-working space, the mill.
The mill.
So we filmed from the pitch room over at the mill, which is this gorgeous kind of glass room with, exposed brick walls and old wood floor that's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
We're clearly in the Marshals Museum right now. We recorded at the Majestic.
Yeah.
One of our live music venues right off Garrison. And next we'll be in the Regional Art Museum.
Nice.
So that will be so cool because right now they still have the Ed Pennebaker exhibit up.
Okay, explain that to me.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's like glass sculpture kind of.
Oh yeah, what do you call that? I'm going to say it wrong. Is it Chahula?
Sure, Josh.
It sounds right to me. Look it up. Chahula, maybe. I'm going to look like an idiot if I'm wrong, but it's okay. Been an idiot before.
Don't talk about my friend Josh that way. No, he uses like reclaimed materials, and so he does like mainly glass, but he also does some little sculptures from various materials. It's really visually stunning.
Yeah.
The colors and the shapes of the glass. It almost has like a ocean-esque kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So excited to be filming there. And we've got several different locations.
A lot of those museums, like the Marshals Museum, Fort Smith Museum of History, the Regional Art Museum, they have rotating exhibits like that. So you don't just go in once and think you've experienced it all and never have to go again. Like you keep going back because things are changing all of the time. And there's an exhibit here that I don't know how long it's going to last, but there's going to be a new exhibit coming in the near future that I'm excited about. But all of those museums have things that are on rotation. So don't just come once, come multiple times, come check out the different exhibits that exist in those spaces.
Yeah.
So,
and the education component to all of them too. I mean, you mentioned before the Marshals Museum having like camps and they have people come and speak. And so there's a lot of education opportunities here for kids and adults of all ages to experience history and to learn. And
I know you Discover Fort Smith on your Facebook page, on the events section on your webpage, you highlight a lot of those events.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you want to figure out what's going on and you want to know, hey, what exhibit's going on at the Regional Art Museum, go onto your webpage, probably the best place to find out about events.
Yeah, I mean, people can always go on discoverfortsmith.com.
Okay.
Our socials are all Discover Fort Smith. And yeah, we've got this great social media coordinator, Joanna Hernandez.
She is
Shout out
great.
to Joanna.
She is great.
Love her. And basically, she goes around and curates itineraries. And she turns them into reels and posts them on our social. So she highlights different events. Every month we put out a monthly event calendar that links you to our event calendar on our website. And it's my personal goal / professional goal to have every event in Fort Smith on our website. So our socials are a great way to get to know Fort Smith.
Yeah.
You can find lots of different things to do. I think one of the more recent posts was, a Gilmore Girls themed day.
Oh, nice.
Kind of walks you through
Sounds
an itinerary.
like my kind of day.
Yeah, like you stay at the Beeland Manor, you go to Bookish over at the Bakery District, you grab a coffee at the coffee company. So she does a lot of really cool things like that, just to give you an idea of what a day could look like, or a weekend could look like in Fort Smith. Does a lot of kid-friendly highlights too, for families with kids of all ages, from little ones to middle schoolers. There's things to do. So yeah, hop on our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, also on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And our website has just a lot of info too about different businesses and places to visit. And things
Honestly,
to do.
I visit your website to figure out what I want to do. And in particular about events that are coming up, because I don't always know.
Yeah.
And I'm really big into live music. I forgot to mention that earlier. I love going to watch live music.
Same.
And we have a ton of live music happening every single week.
Yeah.
And even some big acts.
Yeah.
I've seen some big acts come through. I saw like Flatland Cavalry came and played at Temple Live last year, and seen people play at a few of my favorite bands at Majestic.
Yeah. We saw the Wallflowers recently at Temple Live. It was pretty good.
Jacob Dylan.
That was awesome.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then Levitt does their concert series on the river every year. Well, fall and spring. They do a fall and spring, I think. So, getting to go check those things out and all that stuff, like you mentioned, on the website, on the events page.
It's true.
And I visit that frequently to figure out what we're going to do. So,
thanks, Josh. Glad to know that.
Yeah.
We're also really vamping up our blog. So trying to give, itineraries and different, more like in-depth views into our attractions, like the Marshall's Museum. We have a blog about it. We have a blog about Miss Laura's. We have a blog about the Museum of History. So if you're curious about these places, you can hop on our blog too and find out a little more info about what to expect in a visit. So we're adding more blogs monthly. So be prepared to see some fun stuff show up on there.
And I just for no other reason than to promote it, want to tell people to follow us follow the city of Fort Smith too.
How rude of me, Josh.
No,
you were like,
I
should be like, and what about you?
No. So fortsmithr.gov. It's mainly geared towards residents, not visitors. We do link to you guys. And then following us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X. Sorry.
I still can't get used to it.
I'm going to get there eventually.
One day we will.
We're on all those platforms as well. And there's tons of information on there. Not just information, but we also highlight events that have happened or that are happening as well. So visit us on there.
Cool. One thing I also want to mention about discoverfortsmith.com is the podcast is available on there. And if there's anybody watching this who wants to be or is interested in being on our podcast, if you've got something to share, go to discoverfortsmith.com/podcast. And there's a form that you can fill out to just let us know that you're interested in being on. And we'd love to hear from people who are interested.
Yeah.
But there was another thing I wanted to ask you about, talking about, you said it's mainly resident based, what you do, but you have started this incentive program for remote workers, right? Isn't this kind of like your brainchild?
It's not my brainchild. I wish it were. We partner with a company called Make My Move.
Okay.
They're out of Indiana, and they've seen great success with this program. What it is it incentivizes remote workers to move to a different city and take their remote job with them. So, as a remote worker, you can work from anywhere. And so we're wanting to incentivize people to work from Fort Smith, Arkansas. We know that we have a lot to offer. Obviously, that's why we're doing this podcast. But we also have a low cost of living. It's very affordable to live here. Yep. And there's lots of opportunities here. So we want to incentivize them. The incentives are cash. So you can get $10,000 if you purchase a home. You can get $5,000 if you rent a home. And then you get all other incentives, which are just like the icing on the cake, Marshall's Museum membership for a year,
oh, wow.
Parrot Island passes. We didn't mention Parrot Island on here yet, but it's a cool water park over at Big Guerin. So you get those, and there's really a ton. So the best way to find that out, makemymove.com, and you'll see Fort Smith on that homepage and look at what we have to offer. And I hope we get people that want to move here and contribute to our economy, because that's what it's really about, is contributing to our economy, but it's also a benefit to those people who are moving, because really that $10,000 if you buy a home could help cover some closing costs.
Yeah, it goes a long way here. It goes
expenses.
Further here.
Yeah, and hopefully you can find someplace affordable. Every person that applies that there are some eligibility requirements. Those are all on the website. I won't bore people with those. But everybody that is eligible and makes it through the pipeline, they end up talking to me, and we figure out where you could live.
So you're the guy.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
So I love getting to chat with people that are participating in that program, and I hope more and more people take advantage of it.
Man, I wish we had moved a couple years later. No, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
You hear about these incentive programs in other cities that are being really successful, and I think it's going to be really successful here too. One of the reasons, and I forgot to mention this earlier, that we moved here to Fort Smith is because of its proximity to Bentonville, Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas. You can easily go up there, you know.
You can go there, and then Kansas City's not too far.
Branson's not far.
We go to Branson often. Yeah.
The location here, and if you're working remote, you can set up your home base here and go really wherever you want to go.
Exactly.
And the state parks too.
Yeah. There's lots of outdoor recreation.
It's
here.
really fun and beautiful. Well,
are we
going to wrap it up, Josh? Is this?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Well, thank you, Josh, for being my podcast buddy, partner, collaborator,
co-host,
for doing this with me here.
Yeah, glad to do it. Thank you. And thank you for asking me to be a part. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. And if you want to see more podcasts, you can hear us on Spotify, Apple, or
YouTube.
Thank you. I was like, what's the third one? We hope you like us, follow us, subscribe, and listen to more stories of Fort Smith and people living and working here.